Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video we're going to discuss a couple of trades that happened over the weekend, as there were two significant trades, both involving the Edmonton Oilers, which are both those trades coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey channel. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. We're nearly close to you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe down below and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so we can all discuss in this video. Now, in today's video, we've got two important trades to talk about regarding the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to be having a new video tomorrow. I'll take that video probably after we find out the results of what happens with the Broberg and Holloway offer sheets, but we had two interesting trades, both involving the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. So we're going to start here with the first one that they made, and it was an interesting one. So the Edmonton Oilers acquired Vasily Podkolzin from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for the Ottawa Senators 2025 fourth round pick. Now the Senators originally traded that pick to the Edmonton Oilers just a couple weeks ago as part of the Xavier Bourgault deal. They acquired Bourgault and Chesson from the Oilers in exchange for Harvey and the 2025 fourth round pick. So it was a decent trade there for both teams. So the Oilers flipped that pick to the Vancouver Canucks to get Vasily Podkolzin. Now for this, it's an interesting deal for both sides. For the Canucks, we knew there's a very likely chance Podkolzin was going to get moved. I think he's waiver eligible right now, so there's a very likely chance the Canucks are going to probably place him on waivers and lose him as a waiver claim. He's a solid player, former 10th overall pick. I think it was back in the 2020 or 2021 draft. It was taken really high, but still, he never really worked out overly well in Vancouver, was up and down, spent some parts of the seasons in the NHL, some part of the seasons in the AHL. This past year, played 19 NHL games, putting up 2 assists and 2 points, got into a couple of playoff games too. Didn't look overly great. So far in his career, he's played 137 NHL games, putting up 18 goals and 35 points. Not something you expect for a 10th overall pick. So it hasn't worked out in Vancouver, and with the Canucks additions of guys like Sprague and Nebraska and some of the younger guys starting to step up, it sort of seemed like Podkolzin was getting pushed down the depth chart. So it seemed like he was not going to be able to find a way to stay in Vancouver, so the trade was very likely. So the Canucks move him to Edmonton, get a 4th round pick in return. It's not the 10th overall pick that they used to draft him, but I think that's sort of fair value as to where Podkolzin is at this point in his career now. So they're able to get a draft pick for moving on from Podkolzin. Also still frees them up just around $1 million in cap space. So interesting stuff there, but that's going to help the Canucks now. They get an extra draft pick that they could use later down the road or use to draft someone in next year's draft, and they move on from a player who's probably not going to make the team. Now for the Edmonton Oilers, they move a 4th round pick. Not too surprised there. They don't have too many draft picks, but I think moving on from a 4th round to get a guy like Podkolzin's stature is fantastic. Meanwhile, for Podkolzin, can he make the NHL roster? Now, originally when this trade went down, I thought this was probably going to be an indicator that Holloway is not going to be matched, and with that, in fact, Podkolzin could definitely be a solid top 9 forward. He's speedy, he looks very well, he's on a cheap $1 million deal for the rest of the season before he becomes an RFA next year. So all in all, he looks like he's going to be a pretty good pickup there for the Oilers. So in my opinion, this is a solid deal for both sides. The Canucks get rid of a player who was not working out overly well in their system, and they're able to get a draft pick for him. Meanwhile, the Oilers get a potential Holloway replacement if they don't match him and Podkolzin, and Podkolzin could eventually be a solid bomb 6-4 there for the Oilers. So interesting swap there. But once again, like we said, Podkolzin makes $1 million, so it'll be an interesting move there to see if he would wind up staying on the Edmonton roster or could they move him down on the waivers. We'll have to wait and see. And then we got another interesting trade. This one was a little bit more expected. As we talked about in one of our last videos, the Sharks were one of the teams that linked to Cody Ceci. He did indeed go there. The Sharks wound up acquiring Cody Ceci and the Oilers' 2025 3rd round pick from the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for young defenseman Ty Emberson. So that's pretty good in my opinion for both these teams. For the Sharks, we know there was a very likely chance they could be a team who winds up taking on Ceci. They A, don't have too much really good defenders, and B, they have plenty of cap space, so they could use Ceci in their system. He could definitely potentially be like a solid second pair defenseman for the start of the season. They don't have too many defensemen, and then they can move him at around just over $1.5 million with 50% of the contract retained at the deadline for a decent return. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Sharks. Meanwhile, if you look at what Ceci's done this past year, has 5 goals, 25 points in 79 games, was a +12, looked alright, and the playoffs wasn't overly good with Darnell Nurse on that sort of D pair, so really interesting stuff there, but still wasn't overly great fit there with the Edmonton Oilers these past couple of years. Has been a defensive liability, which has hurt the Oilers. So it's good for the Oilers to move on from him, and I think he should be a solid addition there. Right shot defenseman, second pair guy for the Sharks, and even though he's a little little bit overpriced in my opinion. He should be able to be moved at the deadline with 50% of his contract retained, and could be a really good ad for some teams. So interesting stuff there. On top of that, the San Jose Sharks also get a third-round pick in the 2025 draft. It's not what everyone was expecting, as a lot of people were speculating that it would take a first or second-round pick to acquire a guy like Cody Ceci from some of these bottom-dwelling teams, but they're able to only get him for a third. So that, in my opinion, is a pretty good move there for the Oilers, but the Sharks do get a draft pick here in return. So they get a draft pick for moving on from Cody Ceci, and there's a potentiality they could flip him at deadline and get another draft pick. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Sharks. Now for the Oilers, they get rid of the $3.25 million cap hit of the Ceci contract, which is pretty good. On top of that, they add a solid young defenseman in Ty Emberson as well. Emberson, who's in the final year of a 1-year, $950,000 deal, will be an RFA at the end of next season. Looked pretty good last year, getting into 30 NHL games, putting up a goal and 9 assists for 10 points. Looked pretty good. I think he should eventually be a solid, maybe second pair defenseman, but most likely he's a solid third pair defenseman. And with the loss of Ceci and potentially still the loss of Broberg, Emberson might have a bit of a bigger role in a team like Edmonton. So interesting moves there. The Oilers make two interesting moves. They acquire Ty Emberson and Vasily Podkolzin. They move off a 4th-round pick, a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft, and Cody Ceci. Now this does free them up just over, I think, $1 million in cap space. There's also potentiality of moving guys like Podkolzin and Emberson down in the waivers, so there's a potentiality for them clearing up a little more cap space. So interesting moves there. Now, like I said, as soon as the Podkolzin deal went through, I wonder if that sort of meant that they weren't going to offer sheet Holloway, but then they made a Ceci move, so I still do wonder what they could do. There's a potentiality here of them making a few roster moves, placing Key on long-term injury reserve, and then that would allow them to match both Broberg and Holloway contracts. But like I said, it's still going to make them extremely difficult to try and sign a guy like Draisaitl and Bouchard next year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. I think we should have to have the announcement by tomorrow morning if the Oilers are going to keep these two players, or if they're going to let them go to St. Louis and pick up the 2nd and 3rd round picks in exchange. But interesting moves there, as the Oilers are trying to clear up enough cap space to go after a couple players, and they've gotten some insurance pieces as well. So interesting moves there. Sharks have gotten Ceci and a 2025 3rd round pick. Canucks have gotten a 2025 4th round pick, and the Oilers have taken Ty Emberson and Vasily Podkolzin as potential guys who could replace guys like Broberg and Holloway should they not choose to match them. So interesting stuff there. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think of these two trades? Are you surprised that Ceci went to the Sharks and for only a 3rd round pick as well? Are you surprised that Podkolzin was dealt to the Edmonton Oilers? Are you surprised the Canucks only got a 4th round pick in return? And are you surprised that the Oilers now have Emberson and Podkolzin? Definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk for today. We're going to this video. If you'd like to subscribe down below. Thank you for support Renails with you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so I can also discuss today's video. Also a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. I'll link down in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.